as our first map bank, you two can take it away.
Thank you very much, Anne. And yes, we will take it away. Now, here is my point of curiosity, Mr. Happenstein, is
Yes.
that Sandbox, when they played this against Talon, as I said, this is the 3 maps the Sandbox played throughout Phase 2. When they played it against Talon, they took a 3-3 half on their defense, and then 4 flawless, not entirely flawless, but 4 attacks in a row to lock out the game 7-3. This time they're starting on their attack. There will be a quick rehost. I think they're accidentally locked into the wrong server. So they'll go through the bans, and then it will potentially come back to us. Talk about it a little bit more. But that is the fact that they're starting on their attack here. They could do a lot of distance.
They could do a lot of distance, especially, considering they set the pace. And they have the opportunity to really tell BSG what kind of a day it will be today. Being that more experienced team, being that team that had the opportunity to watch them yesterday, isolate those mistakes they were making, to see if there's something they can do to utilize them today. Kate to be banned, together with Fenrir, Ying, and Dokkaebi as well. Now, I wouldn't be surprised by any of these bans, really. Like, all of them are operators that can be very, very useful on bank. Actually, that Kate able to keep those hatches shut. Removing that is going to be opening up the opportunity for the attack just a little bit more. League, or 50 if you come first in your league. So, D+ will be getting at least another 130 points from just attending. And then they'll also get points from being at the major, of course, which I'm not sure of yet how much points that is going to be for them. Because it depends on where they will end up. But probably both D+ and Sandbox will be qualified to go to 6 Invitational by their second attending.
I think that's my sort of idea of it. Because it's less about them making it through, obviously, because these are the 2 of the teams that are at Copenhagen. But it's also more of who they stop technically stealing more points. But we're back in the game. We're back in the game.
I can hear you struggle.
I'm really struggling. Because, I had it written down. Because, as I said, it's not just about them making it, but about them making it means that them and DK or D+ have no one else to fear from the region making it, sort of thing, apart from the open qual stuff. But they'll by default be... And then loads of these other variables come in. They'll get to skip. They'll get some guaranteed points. We'll let Liquipedia work it out. I tried maths. I complicated and confused myself.
Attackers are moving out to
locate no longer maths. No more maths.
I'm never gonna maths again.
Never maths.
I won't be mathed again. Hey, here we are, Sandbox. Job is still on you. Now, PSG yesterday were not confident on their attacks. And they kept on sort of suffering and being pulled apart. And if Sandbox can start getting into the habit of punishing those mistakes, we might have a little bit of another dominant showing here.
It wasn't just... I mean, that's an early spot on the player that's just hiding in the corner out there. Should be an easy pickup for the side. Sandbox. I was just going to say, it wasn't just the attacks that were not very confident. It's also the fact that their defenses, whilst they held on, it wasn't necessarily because of their own, brilliant plays. It was also due to big mistakes being made by the opposing team. So, if you play a decent game and you limit the amount of mistakes you make as Sandbox, you should be doing just fine.
The first kill. Crazy Boy. Gets rid of Nova. Gets rid of, obviously, the pickup player there in terms of that position. The hard breach. The slight limitation on, Crazy Boy doing Crazy Boy things. I talked about it enough yesterday, but can Sandbox demonstrate how to execute this player? They have the ping. There it is. Effie had the pings, had the teamwork. There was players on the windows, and they've quickly picked that back up. However, as it's being shown, Kanto will stay solid. The ace is gone. They won't be able to get the breach onto the backside as well. Their approach from the site has just suddenly been a lot more limited.
Attackers have located a bomb.
It's definitely going to be a bit more limited, missing out on the hard breach there, and it's not a great start. I mean, they knew where the player was very early on. They weren't quite able to get the distraction in necessary. That's why you saw the Zofia shoot. That's why you saw Tridem, almost a grenade getting Vamos there, trying to get the concussion in. Both failed, and Nova eventually losing on the back of that gunfight. Not a great start for Sandbox, but it's definitely still recoverable. Just that there's a minute left right now, so they need to get a move on. They need to start getting in physically to the building as well, because you cannot just win this from repels.
As the drones roll out and as Jin rolls through Mephi and someone else, it's a jump out. There's two. Welcome to Bank. There will at least be a jump out. Usually there's one from each team, sometimes twice. Easy's not every round. It's not the most common thing because it becomes a sort of surprise game that gets caught out. But if it has cemented them this round, well, there's definitely something to work with. Demic doesn't know about the elevator player. They've just pushed onto Banana. Don't need to know. Yeagle. Deep, deep shot, deep cut. Demic's gone down. Good boy's all that's left. 10 seconds. You can pretty confidently say we're opening here on the first defense, on the first of this best of three, for the BSG round.
Yeah, great play there from BSG. First of all, Crazy Boy holding one as long as it did on the ATMs, finding a kill there as well. Wasted a lot of time because most of the team was actually trying to deal with him when he was in that situation out there. He didn't have any support whatsoever, so that was really just like a 1v5 fight going on there, in which he wasted about a minute and he got a kill in the back of it. Jump out afterwards, also great. Finding two somehow, not quite sure how he did because they were very spaced apart. Both of them were actually on the rappel.
To locate and defuse bombs.
But that kind of cements a round for you as a defender at that moment in time because Sandbox didn't really have any control. They had a person on the top square, and that was it. That's the only person they had inside the building. The rest is all still outside at that point. So, not the best start for them. Usually they get themselves a well-deserved first round.
Alright, BSG. I quite like the energy. I like seeing them be a bit active, a bit reactive. Maybe it's because they're more familiar with Sandbox as opponents. As we said, the players of this roster, although they haven't entirely been jammed together, have for a long time, you know, sort of played in these leagues, played in these tiers across a couple of different rosters. Not found success, but you get hardened by those experiences. Sandbox, in the meantime, I mean, apart from obviously the recent change of bringing back in Nova, they haven't changed their roster as much until about the past like 12 months, is when they did things like bring in Arakaze or Good Boy for that.
Yeah, of course, Good Boy was still like in the process of turning 18 at the moment he brought onto the roster, so I had to play with like a sub until he did. After that, instantly started to shine. Demic taking a very early fight into the garage. It's a little bit of damage taken, nothing too much to worry about. It's gonna see if he can return the favor by looking underneath the big van. Crazy Boy just finds Nope. I'm not quite sure where that's from, but she's really bringing the fight to him here.
I'm reloading.
They're really just trying to not let them step in. The evil cover here should be enough. The toes of the Oster suffer massively, and it's such an aggressive stance they're holding here in the garage. And again, whether they just knew the push would come from this side, whether they're still able to just swing onto Demic. And the player stuck behind this car should not have been able to net a kill on the back of that as soon as the reveal came through. It's sort of been a little bit of, I don't know, just not being ready for what BSG are putting forward here from Sandbox across both rounds.
Definitely, it's just like negligence to some extent. They're just trying to push in and hope for the best. And BSG's really bringing the fight to him. Jin gets taken down. Suddenly Sandbox is exploding all over the side, and it's a 3v2. So I think they find themselves in favor. One person above, one on the actual side. Lots of damage done to Crazy Boy with that DMR. They now know that he's in server. One is still unaccounted for at that moment. That's going to be the wild card that they have in pocket for BSG. But Arakaze already finding himself inside the vault has the opportunity to just try and go for a plant soon.
Gaki with the slow creep round, and you know, they were a huge player before, and they're able to remove Good Boy. Kaze's watching the chance to swing round onto the side of the vault. They're gonna see if they can hold the plant again. It's Crazy Boy and Gaki between the pair of them. The impact hits the first fight. There's the watch down onto Crazy Boy. He's calling everything. The drop down and wrong timing. Arakaze is there just to pick up the response.
Arakaze has been trying to go for the plant, what seems like 6 or 7 times in that round, and every single time something happens and he needs to go off. The man just wants to have that plan behind his name, but
just wants that statistic.
He just wants the statistic. Instead, he's going to get that 1v1 in his name. Now, 1-1. We also have the rounds traded, although BSG started off that round very well. We just hyper-focused a little bit too much on that one player that was coming in from the garage. Still And thus they found themselves flanked from the main stairs. But that's also like the experience that they need to gain. They're a very new team, coming up against an experienced Sandbox who've played multiple majors. And yes, Envy Taylor was swapped out, Nova back in, but before Good Boy and Arakazu were playing, Nova was already on that lineup. So it's not like he doesn't know how this game works. He just had less time and decided to go to a coaching role instead. That's why they got those new players in. It's going to be very well integrated in the team.
5 seconds to go.
One apiece. We start with a good back and forth. I still like BSG being reactive on their defense because it was one of my biggest complaints of the game of them yesterday was it felt like teams weren't really playing the game ahead of them, and it feels they're more in tune with their opponents. They are ready and willing to sort of go to bat against Sandbox because it's potentially Sandbox, because it's a team that you have high expectation. But I said that only really works once or twice. Crazy Boy does Crazy Boy things. Erikaze goes down, is quickly picked back up there. Still, it is a bit of an early blow.
Kind of trades they need if they do lose that very early frag. Now, just challenging, just opening up some of these barricades. Still scary though, as they're not really certain of what BSG will do. They're somewhat of a, like, unknown entity. Like, they just do whatever they want at that point. Of course, they have like strategy and everything behind it, but it's just a team that you're not playing against super often. And they have nothing to lose in this game. Yes, there's a major split on the line, but everybody expects Sandbox to win, so bring your crazy game. See if you can make it that way.
Oh, Crazy Boy will. This every round is his crazy game.
That is true.
Demic.
I need to tell him twice.
No. Demic and Mephi putting the pressure onto those in windows. Good Boy's making sure that nobody swings around to get a cheeky read out. There is the the pings on the back end of the players, and they're playing a big intel game here. Obviously, the combination of the Mozzie and the Echo. They went for another jump out. This is what happens to this game, right? If a team just keeps doing it, it becomes very easy predicting plans to get that information. It's just a big flat face. There's not a low run out position. You have to take a leap of faith.
Yeah.
You can't just sort of do a hop in and a hop out. So it shouldn't be a consistent problem. It might, who knows, but it shouldn't be.
Now that's it. Like, you do it once, it will work. Twice, you might be able to get away with it, but any more than that is definitely not going to be working out for you. And I saw now the second time already, shut down by Sandbox, basically untraded for. Demic lost a lot of HP. I might be wondering why. I believe that was a C4 that was prepped and ready to blow. It's cold on the back of his sound call. Almost found Demic on the back of it, but managed to escape with his life. As him and Mephi now busy opening up the woodwork, making sure that there's plenty of angles to dislocate these players on that defense. They can sneak Nova in to go for a plant.
10 seconds left. Whatever they do, they've got to do it quick here. Nova's going to go through beepers, a 3 apiece. Vamos is able to get 1 more kill. There's 3 cap cans. There is the swing, though. Just really didn't give themselves enough time there. And the execute slowed down enough from the jump out from Crazy Boy. Having to pick that back up. It happened quite early. But I guess they were then cautious from that point onward. They sort of lost a little bit of the sight on the site itself. 2-1. BSG. And, Sandbox, as I said, when they were on here last time, they flawlessly attacked. 4 attacks in a row. It was their stronger half when they won this game in the league against, I think it was Talon, a couple of play days ago. Definitely a lot of VOD review, definitely a lot of study here BSG have done.
They've definitely done some studies and have found a way to play that hinders Sandbox. And well, we're talking about time, Emmy, and it's not the first time that we've given that as a critique to Sandbox. I remember back when it was still called APEC North, they also had, problems with time every now and then, when they would find a team that was disruptive enough to just throw bodies at them at random moments in time. They would start to run out and just have to go for like some last second push. And BSG is kind of doing that right now. That that jump out might not work, but it's definitely keeping them worried, keeping them occupied. And in the end, with 15 seconds left, well, they're just walking through a double door with no side control.
I think the biggest sort of problem about that with Sandbox was, I think I remember what SI it was. Might have even been a major, but they had the best entry statistic of anyone at the tournament, and they just could not convert it into round wins.
That as well. And that's why they never really were able to break through, I guess, on the international stage. Because the opening kills were always on point. I believe back then that was with Shao and MV Taylor leading the charge. Ken find themselves with an opening kill. It's Damick to find Crazy Boy. Shut down. I'm not quite sure where he was. In stairs or stuck.
Yeah, on the white stairs.
Yeah, it's been taken down. No longer having to worry about it. Hatches are being opened up as Sandbox will continue on towards. It's going to be the basement side.
So the angles forcing the players away from the hole, trying to get the clear, as we said, something that slowed them down before. You've got the player inside open, and now if they're positioned, usually they're playing not too far away from an open hatch as well. You don't really want to play your life there, but you want to do enough to slow them down, and that is what. There they go, drop down the Goyo. Back towards the site, back towards the safety unit. Evil's going to go wide to the position they played last time round, and Sandbox are still going to be looking for that player and open. It's, what, 30 seconds? 40 since we had that previous engagement before, and since then Sandbox have still only really just got around to open and eyes down to green.
Definitely a lot of time is being taken here to be quicker. It's already going to say, they're wasting so much time on that second floor, opening up all that verticality into the first, whereas a single drone could have just realized, oh, no one here, we can start moving, can start opening up. Would have saved them at least a minute in their time. Now, at least, hatches will be opened up, and you do not need a lot of time. You just need to make sure there's no utility in the actual site that can stop you from getting the plant down, such as smoke canisters and Goyo canisters. Now, I believe the Goyo canisters are still going to be out there unless Twitch in the meantime has taken them down.
They have the smoke still, and I mean, at this point, if the smokes go towards the default plant spot, it's more than enough to stop it throughout the entirety of the attempted plant. The fire is slowly burning, but the fact that the wall is still standing, you're sort of wondering where Sandbox is going to put the pressure on. They're droning out the site still. They're trying to find where the players are. They're currently angled up to just take a couple of hatch drops and hope for the best, and it's such a bad, dangerous idea. There's a, fire underneath. The Hibana drops in, gets knocked right back out. Two of them try and pick things up. It's just Yeeble on the back line. Mephi's able to do some damage, but the kit still isn't inside the site. They've got to try and sprint their way across. It's 2 versus nobody. No kit. Oh, Mephi! Just!
Oh, if only the player would have just gone into the corner rather than jump out. That would have been around. That's the difference there. The animation takes so long. Gave Mephi just enough time to come and sweep around the corner, find that final kill. Sandbox to find themselves with a second on the board, but that really should have been a BSG round.
They're a little bit lucky. Let's be honest there, Sandbox. It was slow. They weren't quite aware of things. They were droning things out with 30 seconds left without any lockdown of any of the hatches, any of the walls properly. They had to just hit it and hope. And when you're dropping into active Goyo fire with 20 seconds left, I think at that point you can pretty much call this, I'm going to say, a more failed approach. Because even if you're going for those hatch drops, the fact you haven't been able to use the Twitch and get rid of that utility earlier, that's the problem. That's the sticking point there.
And as I said, they wasted so much time on that top floor that they didn't really put their attention towards that first floor by opening up those hatches. They opened up those hatches with like a minute 10 left, maybe. Then they started to get the Twitch drone in to get rid of the utility out there. And then you're basically ready with 30 seconds left on the clock with the ground still burning. So something they need to improve on, something they need to be quicker in for the remainder of this matchup. Now, of course, Sandbox is also a team that sometimes just has to warm up a little bit. They need to just get into the series slightly, especially against a team that might be very volatile, like BSG is. Especially Crazy Boy, of course. Manage to, get a grasp on their rhythm. You might be able to utilize your time a little bit better. But it does make for a very problematic first half for them.
Trying to spot anyone that's coming in trying to do that BSG thing of hurting people, and Crazy Boy is once again the one that is hurt on the back end, but that just sort of active bulletproof camera getting the eyes on as soon as somebody hits the roof, hits the sort of side on stock. It's rough utility that you sometimes got to get the clearance on before you can even make that approach. And they're able to pop open Kanto this time around. If we remember last time, they'd lost the ace. They'd lost their hard breach. You learn. You live and learn on these attacks on this map, and they are doing that for now.
On they go. Again, only that damage done to Crazy Boy so far, who's looking to eye up to move into top square. As soon as he moves up that staircase, they should be aware of his movements out there, and they should be able to punish him for it. But there's nobody on the top of the square skylight now, which is why he's allowed to play there, and that E1D is not going to be spotting him either, but Sandbox will find themselves close to the site. Oh, behind him.
Yeah, Crazy Boy pops off one. They're looking for the swing on the fight on the next. They're just sort of sitting, waiting, hoping and holding out. But as the minute ticks, Good Boy's stuck at this point in time. He needs some support. They tuck around. They're just underneath here. The audio sees the player. Cannot win the fight, though. Jin breakdances to safety. The cover on the elevator comes across, and Sandbox caught out. Nova at least gets the player creeping up around the back end. It's 2 kills of 2 players just lying down. Another rough round here.
It's a very rough round. I mean, great play from Crazy Boy, first of all, just sending some rounds through the actual closet that was down. On the back of it, made it that they couldn't really return fire, and especially with the players up on a rappel. Well, what are you going to do if he's playing that close angle? You're not really going to be finding him.
15 seconds.
Very unfortunate on Jin as well. They needed hot information not to punch that window and give them a fighting chance. As it gets to that very final kill, it's BSG that will be leading that very final round in this half. Hoping to make that a 4-2 split. I'll give Sandbox the opportunity to bring it back to a 3-3. But again, like, I'm just trying to think of it, like, you could also just shoot open the window, you know, and then respond if you see a person after. If you punch, it just gives so much downtime, so much opportunity to reply. The player on the opposite side of things.
Protect your bombs from being
The only reason I could think they were punching was for audio reasons, and if they assumed the player was in Kanto, right? If they thought the player was in that corner or at the double doors a little bit further away, you can do that, swap your gun and shoot them probably quicker than they can work out exactly where the sound cue is. You shoot, you might send a tracer, they'll just swing back and shoot you. That's the only thing I can realize or assume is why they didn't shoot through. Because if they knew they were that close, they would have 100% shot through.
10 seconds to insertion.
Still painful, though, to lose a round the way they did. Find themselves on the side, suddenly there's a player on the staircase.
Attackers are
Nothing they could do about it. So BSG to playing as well. Just something we have to say. And now as we'll go back to open area, last time this came down to 15 seconds, and Sandbox walking through the open door with the diffuser, hoping for the best. Being shut down, obviously, as they did. So a different approach could be welcomed this time around. Maybe a kitchen take. Need a little bit less time to prepare that.
Well, they have the Echo drone rolling out, getting the pings. Crazy Boy gets the player. Did they hop out, or was it just on the window? No, it wasn't a hop out. They just sprayed up through the windows as soon as it was pulled, as soon as the player moved around. And they, they haven't been able to escape. But look at Evil on the far side, trying to offer some support. They're just going to shoot it open and, maybe put some fear in and say, look, this is where we are. You can see a big rotate coming from the Sandbox players here to get revenge for this. But it's sort of a big missed moment. Arakaze gets one. There's Good Boy getting another. 4 versus 3 here. Crazy Boy does escape. But the trade-off of 2 other players.
Yokotron is going to be feeding some information down, especially for Vamos, who's looking to take that fight still quite aggressively. 100 seconds are left in the round, and that was slowly starting to creep down towards that final minute mark. Haven't really made any approach towards the site yet. And it's partly because of Crazy Boy getting that first initial kill now, hiding in stock. So as soon as they start opening up on that area of the map, oh, look at who's suddenly going to be popping up to take those fights. Good Boy will find Jindo, so it's an effective 2-on-4 situation. But as long as we still have Crazy Boy on top, he's going to be able to go for a huge play. Vamos as well, in the tellers, has an opportunity to go for a flank.
If he's going to see if he can stick the plant, we haven't had the kit go down before. The C4 might be the end of that. Doesn't quite get the catch. Crazy Boy suffers on the second story above stock. Oh, Vamos! Huge take, quickly responded to by Good Boy, but there's Crazy Boy over the top. He doesn't quite get the angle and the lockdown. 50 seconds. They're going to head into kitchen. They're going to assume, find a new place to plant. Crazy Boy's trying to decide which way he wants to go for it, and you can see now for the first time, stuck. We have a post plant. We have 3 versus 1 heavy retake situation here. They knew where he was coming from. Sandbox. 3 apiece.
Crazy Boy has been such a big problem for the side of Sandbox. He's just been running around, like finding kills everywhere, almost going like unchecked every single time. Not sure what that means, but we're in a pause.
I'm assuming it's an admin tech pause. Yeah. I think they want all the player cams working. I think there's a problem with the player cam.
Oh, it might be that.
I believe that's that.
So it's a practical pause. Everything working again. As this first half went into a 3-3. Now that's the half that Sandbox was able to put last time they were here, but they started on the defense. After that, they went flawless on the attack. So maybe you know, roles reversed this time. Maybe they can go flawless on the defense now. Get 4 rounds. Possibly. Question mark?
I think it's, you know, it becomes this test, really, because I was curious at the start of this, how much prep was this? Is this just how BSG want to play Bank, or is this just the prep that they've done against Sandbox to know how to stop Sandbox being able to play their game on Bank here? This will be that moment, really. Because if they start piecing apart some of these defenses, 3 of 3 isn't horrible. The defense on Bank, it's, you know, kind of the standard. It's a great attacking map.
Yeah.
But if they've been able to watch back the VOD and see where the problems were with talent, or see where things they could change, they might be able to push this one over the edge.
It's also the kind of gameplay that we've just seen from them on the defense. It doesn't really work on the attack. You cannot be as disruptive when you're on the attack as when you're on the defense, because you'll be able to isolate players when you're on the defense, because the attack's coming out from different directions. Whereas the defense is often a lot more concentrated into a single area, bar 1 or 2 roamers that might be around. So they need to find a way to find success in that kind of playstyle. It is unpredictable to the sides of Sandbox to some extent. It seems like that might start by taking that second floor, which is actually a quite predictable thing to do. So you can get that control in. Start working your way down slowly, not having to worry about roamers.
Now, attacks in BSG yesterday, for all I say they might have prepped stuff, they were slow. They were cautious. They were doing executes in the final 10 seconds, and they were also not very sharp. And it was against what is arguably a weaker opponent here. They have to have definitely, you know, found a bit of energy. I love the one that fell through the hatch. Like, bye! As the ram raid stopped. Set up there. So the drones cannot see the top of blue.
Breaching
charge. Opening up some of these hatches. All still basic stuff. Mephi having some fire near him, but that's not going to stop him. He's just waiting patiently before he can retake the fight up there. Probably just, you know, the guy canister that got popped. Stops him slightly, but also stops the attack from putting pressure on him right away. Now, as the drones are very carefully doing their job around the first floor, it's Mephi that goes at a bit of a check every now and then, just to make sure there's no one really putting pressure on him yet. The danger is Jindo, who's found himself in the little dirt tunnel area, ready to walk into servers. I believe Arakazi might be watching that. So if he does move in and doesn't properly check it, they should be able to instantly pick him up, and otherwise alert Mephi that it's time to fall back towards the site to come help.
Yeeble, And not entirely convinced they're safe there. And you could see the player actually rotating up to blue. But, I mean, look at the time. They only find the first engagement. But they're going for the breach on the hatch. It's going to take about, 7 seconds for those to pop open. They're angling themselves up for a take. But I don't even think they really know what the take is yet. At this point, they're sort of throwing things at the wall. There's about to be a fight down the bottom. Does he know? Oh, how he pulls that off! I can't tell you. Swung the gun like he's in a western. Well, with those 2 kills, 15 seconds, they're sort of just stuck staring at a sight.
10 seconds remaining.
Well, Yevil has to drop into the smoke, into a goo mine. That's just going to be doing loads of damage, and he's going to die before he pulls it out. The time will run out. The diffuser is on the ground. So there's no recovering it for the side of BSG, and that will be a sandbox round. And I'm going to be asking a question, Emmy. What the Ram doing?
What the Ram doing?
Why is there a Ram?
What the Ram
top floor
doing?
Bank when we're pushing basement?
The only thing I can think...
the
only thing I can think that there's a Ram there is because you want to get a quick clear over open. If you're thinking that they're playing an open hold and just sort of, tearing up the floor of stock
maybe.
and not risking a C4 in the back of it. Or if you think that they're doing a sort of slightly stretch hold towards the archives in the core of the floor. I don't think it's a great selection. I think you still want a buck, or you want a sledge, you want something with grenades in that place, and then you free up an extra spot, but it didn't quite connect.
They went for it. It didn't work out. I was just curious to see. It's like, there's no direct use for it on the side. I believe eventually they tossed it down the hatch and just let it drive. Not quite sure what they gained with it. But that'd be it. Arkazi's using some open wall plan. If you hear the ACS go off. Big shotgun, slug shotgun. Very great at opening up these angles, and it's just, removing, opening up, getting ready for angles over the top for impacts potentially to stop certain heart breach from working. Now the blitz is going to be on the board for Yevil, so still wanting to go quick here, BSG. Oh, to jump out.
I mean,
if he finds one.
It was always going to happen at least once. You do it with the assumption that you die, right? You're not doing that. If you survive, unbelievable. That is a real mess up of the attackers there. Them getting one, I mean, again, it was bound to happen at some point. They're able to get rid of Vamos, limit the gridlock, limit the rotation back round. It makes a lot of noise. It might try and cover the blitz of Yevil. It depends where Yevil wants to storm up, I suppose.
I almost managed to get into some sort of safety as well. Just didn't know that he was being shot at from the alley on the back. Otherwise, I could have covered for that. Our Certeros are popping off. Just trying to Demic into a problematic situation, but not really too worried now as there's no pressure on the back of it. It's just prep work that's being done by BSG. Big opening up onto the side wall as well. I see that the Selma that was placed earlier to open up Kanto has been keybled off, so still a safe place to play inside of that elevator, which means a long angle will be available to the defenders all the way towards Janitor's side of the map. So kind of stops them from utilizing that. Oh, look at that flank. Good boy. Even unseen.
Oh!
That's one kill. That's the second potentially to go through. Oh! To find him.
Oh, good boy. Good night. Arakaze gets another. One more for the road. And this is a sandbox that is heated up.
Just with the big cannon as well, the ACS. Lovely gun. I don't know how to play with it, but it sounds very cool.
Lovely gun.
It's a lovely gun.
It's a lovely gun.
More like a hand cannon, really. That they
It's good. It's good to see the whole team using the cat background as well. Obviously, it's their team background, their team card. My personal favorite card in Siege. Even Crazy Boy's using it.
Yeah.
Attackers need to locate.
I mean, why wouldn't he, right?
Why wouldn't you?
I believe also Wild is using it.
Wild, yep.
I mean, it fits their color scheme, so just big fans of cats, probably. But okay, Sandbox so far on the defense looks a lot better than them on the attack comeback. And again, that might be due to the disrupting factor of Crazy Boy being out there. He was able to really put some rounds up and, you know, on his head. Sandbox didn't really know how to deal with it. Now they are the ones that are, you know, on the side. The pressure of time is with BSG. Their objective is a lot clearer. easier to keep hold of. So might explain.
Attackers objective.
Ram again coming in. This one makes a lot more sense to me, considering you can open up directly above the site this time. What you theorized was actually going to be the case for the last round as well, just to open up quickly an open area, make sure there's no one out there.
Yeah. You have more of a use here, because it's not just about the open area and sort of getting stopped, which does get opened. But if you're tearing up the floor of CEO and you sort of lob that in from the window, you are less at risk of C4s coming up, which is that sort of traditional play. Especially, you know, we've seen a couple of pulses, we've seen picks, you've got Valkyrie cams. It allows you to sort of strong arm players out of some positions without having to put yourself entirely at danger. There's the IQ getting some work done, and it's just tucked underneath it.
He's about to take a small amount of damage as he walks in. Not quite sure what that was. Just quickly checking. Must have been a gunfight, you almost think. Oh, yeah, maybe from Good Boy over the top.
Yeah, probably.
Must be the only real option there. It's a Capcan, but there's no Capcan on the board, so it doesn't explain it. Good, looking to take stock. Will most likely go with the Ram. You hear the Boogie already going off, starting to open up that long line of sight with Mephi. Well, he has a nice little shield to play with. Sadly, won't be able to actually get the Boogie in the end. Is there a second one coming towards his shield now? No, it's not the case. Okay, so he doesn't have to worry yet.
Trying their best to hold on to the spray, and I mean, it's such a noisy gadget as well, as you can all probably hear at home. It is just the surrounding sound. You really lose the perspective and everything else. Siege, you know how important sound can be, and when it's gone, it's gone. They're inside the site, though. Yaki's trying to hold on. Nova was at least able to get one. The smoke canister is going to force them into a tricky rotate. They win out against Arakaza, though, because look at this. They've just thrown themselves in, and, you know, those sandbox players that are up and above, they're not really in a position to try and fight back. The cover against Demic locks it in. They're able to just utilize the defenses, and, you know, for the conversations about how it was slow approaches before, the pace on this one has really netted them good success. Vamos gets picked up by the end of Mephi, but there's the quick response to Mephi. It's all down. The Good Boy. Blinded behind the desk. Igaki's over one. Quick hop over. A big player for SBXG yesterday. Good Boy gets one.
Finds one.
Does he know where the last is? He's to his left. He has no idea. They're hopping up and swinging around, and oh, there it is! Good Boy! Unbelievable clutch on the back end of that, and you talk about stolen rounds. And that was a very, very good round for Good Boy.
Defenders win.
I had no idea where Gaki was, but Gaki in the end there, I'm not sure if you heard it because the screen stuttered a bit for me, but he fired 1 or 2 rounds, and that's exactly the moment when he realized, oh, in that corner, it's transferred over to it, finds the kill and the round. And I was going to say, it was a beautiful round from BSG. They just rushed the site to take it. Realized there's only 1 or 2 people inside, and all the keeper barriers out there made it very difficult for Sandbox to go for a retake there.
I mean, I don't even think Good Boy knew that the kit was there. I think he fully expected it to be further towards the back end of Kitchen. He picks up that 1 kill. We saw him have the fight there against, I think it was Ian just before, maybe Yeeble. And, you know, they're fighting long and hard towards those keeper barricades where they've just lost people. They've just lost Mephi. Those couple of tracer shots fired was the reason that round falls into Good Boy's favor.
Suppressor could have saved them there, you know, as it eliminates the tracers to come through. Still produces sound, but oh, that's such a sad way to lose a round like that, because it was going very well for them, and then, you know, the clutch beautifully played. Very scrappy fight over the kitchen there, which eventually won, and then 2 quick kills after. Now map point. First one out of 3 for Sandbox to try and lock off map 1.
I guess they just have a habit of 3-3ing the first half and bringing the back end
just warming up a bit.
Yeah, apparently so. It doesn't matter whatever's the first half for 3 apiece, and then from then on things become tricky. Nova, Yakko, bit of a stretch situation. Doesn't want to stick around too long. I know what happens next as Crazy Boy goes for the ping and the intel on the top of square. Jin gonna open up some of the options here onto the back, remove the barbed wire. Oh, and the player lying down there. Will it get
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. I think it got the drone blocker. I don't think it got the barb.
I got the blocker, so that was the main goal. That one indeed will get the barbed wire, so that means that part is cleared out, but still a player out there they need to deal with, though, and that means they need to get the top square hatch under control. As Mephi is inside of blue stairs, actually finds a single kill before he gets taken down by Yeeble. We missed it out there. Still, was going to be a great attempt there as he finds Crazy Boy.
Now, with this even hand, with the even amount of bodies, Jin doesn't want to accidentally hand them a free fight here. So enters very cautiously. And now they can just sort of hold the back end. Let the rest of the team start putting the pressure down. They see that it's empty. They're droning it out. Trying to hold on to the pressure here, but they're all still keeping themselves quite far away from the actual approach of the site. We hear a smoke pop. We see that Echo drone getting itself ready in position. This is what I talked about before when you say you sort of prep for your approach. You have to get rid of these bits of utility if you know where you're going to be trying to enter from.
Oh. Did he actually hit the yokai there that was driving by? I think they did, but there's still a second one. And we've seen this one used in EU as well. Just hop up, get the stun down, and instantly drop back down, which makes it very difficult to chase. So Yaki needs to be effective with his Twitch drone here to find it, but it seems like he's not seen it yet. So both of them are spotted out. This is Nova kind of saying, like, I need you to take these out, because that just, the round relies on it. There you go, there's one. Second one needs to be taken down as well. See a person coming up to try and take it down. There it goes. Plant attempt is made in the smoke. First stun comes through. Good boy goes down. They also stop the plant from happening.
Yep, they stopped the plant. Jin was watching the rotate round on the back end. There's 19 seconds. They're looking for that Echo drone. Demic, in the meantime, is looking for a fight. There's a player above him, so they actually still have a watch, and he has no idea. He goes for the sprint. Oh, just sees the sliver of it. Arakaze stops the planter, though. It pops up, and we're watching the fight here, but it's actually going wrong on the site as well. And, yeah, Sandbox win it out. There's the fight on the site. Sorry, I was trying my best to pay attention to the process of the kit there. We do not have control of our observer. 7-3 Sandbox, 4 rounds in a row once again on the second half of their bank.
And it's going to be a very great first map for them. They learn to deal with the all kind of frustrations of playing against BSG.